What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I want to break down what's happening with Tesla, SPY, NVIDIA, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I want to break down what's happening with the economic calendar moving forward, what's going on with big news involving the markets, what you should be watching for in the charts moving forward. But before I begin the devil's information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I'm firstly not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, deposit $100, you're guaranteed 7 free stocks, and the offer ends in just 11 days, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, for SPY right now, we ended up coming all the way down to 528 exactly as I predicted yesterday, and I said to everyone that if we do test this, watch to see if buyers defend us, but if we lost this, we would be sinking to 526.6. So I called this out yesterday. I told you that 528 is coming and we'll watch for a bounce. That happened during the pre-market for today, and now we're seeing buyers defending SPY. So this was what I suspected would happen. So the question is, what's going to happen from here? I'll be talking about this over the next couple of minutes. So I just want to remind you all, today is Friday, May 17th, 2024. At 10:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have Waller from the Fed giving a speech, and we'll see what they end up saying. This could cause some volatility. Besides that, there's not really a whole lot else coming out for today in terms of data. For news involving the markets, we're actually seeing the Dow Jones pumping, not to mention the S&P 500 and Nasdaq approaching all-time highs. But after they fell yesterday, they're trying to establish lower highs potentially. We'll see if they could try to reach their highs again or not. I'll be watching that very carefully. For news, we also have news that Walmart is hitting all-time highs. Very, very awesome news for them because they had relatively good earnings and very strong guidance. So that's awesome to see. And they're continuing to show nice growth. On top of this, there's been a lot of talk about certain companies like Figma, cloud-based design tool companies that are allowing current investors, including current and former employees, to sell their shares in a tender offer. It's actually very, very interesting. Besides that, there's not really a whole lot else going on. I also want to call out that for SPY, for May 17th, we have about a little bit under 800,000 of these calls expiring, and we have over 3.4 million puts expiring for a 4.37 put to call ratio. That's actually very, very important. So we'll see if there are any shifts or not. And then on top of all of this, as far as Tesla goes, they got some big news. They actually got an approval to expand their Gigafactory in Germany, trying to expand their capacity. But there's still a lot of protesters that don't really like the idea because they believe it's going to be negative for the environment. So, it kind of goes both ways, but that is still technically more good than bad for Tesla. Anyways, let's talk about what's happening with the charts and the overall market and what I see for us moving forward. So for SPY, when you look at the chart right here on the 4-hour time frame, there's a little bit of contraction that's developing. But if we take a very handy dandy Fibonacci retracement chart, what you'll find is that right here we have our 0.618 retracement near the 530 area. That makes me wonder, are we about to get a little retracement to 530 then reject? We'll have to wait and see, but I do find that to be very probable. Here are the two possibilities. It's very simple, actually. We had this low at 528. Now buyers are defending. I did call this out yesterday. If we break this high, just hypothetically, right, if we come up here to 530, if we end up breaking the high right here, this high here, then we could remain bullish, and 532 is going to be our target for a squeeze scenario if we end up breaking the high. If we fail to do so, then the other possibilities, we kind of push a little bit higher. We hit this area right here, 529.5 to 530. Somewhere in this zone, we kind of start shuffling, and we end up struggling and make a lower high. This could be a signal that SPY is rejecting again, and we're going to see a little bit more downside, especially as time goes on. So it all depends on where the next high is established. Do we establish a lower high compared to this high and reject, or do we end up breaking past this high and start pushing higher? We'll have to watch this very, very carefully. I suspect that what's going to happen is we're going to push a little bit higher, and we're going to start shuffling the 530 area. Then we might see a little rejection, a little bit of a dip afterwards. I think that's the most likely possibility, a little pump and dump like move. However, just be prepared and watch your levels just to be safe. So watch 529.5 and 530 is resistance, 530.8 and then 531.5. They're very, very tight levels. If we reject on 530 or so, make sure you watch 528 as critical support. We have to hold that. If we do lose that, that's going to be a sign that a downtrend is starting, and SPY could actually dip a little bit more from here. For a couple more, we have the one and only Tesla stock. Tesla's continuing to just shuffle, trading very, very sideways. It's very indecisive right now. So I do expect a big move to come either next week or today, depending on what we end up doing. If we break past 176, we're going to be pushing for 178 to 180. If we lose 172, we're going to be dipping down to 168. Otherwise, we're just continuing to just trade sideways. So that's likely all it's doing so far. So we'll just have to wait and see. It's very indecisive, so I just want to give it some time. For NVIDIA, we're doing something very similar to SPY. We're basically trying to rebound a little bit. But remember, we had a high just under 960. If we establish a lower high in the 950s, then we could reject and actually continue to sink. So I think it's going to push to the 950s right here. I do think it's going to be coming to about 950 or so, but watch to see if we get a rejection of the low 950s. If we reject, we could be sinking back down to 944, then lower levels. And if we break the high at 960, then we could be pushing once again to highs, and that would be the more bullish case. I don't favor that. I think it's more likely we're going to establish a lower high and then continue to fall. So watch 944 is key supports, and then if that fails us, we have this 938 area, then 930. We'll be watching these levels very, very closely on NVIDIA. I think it might push a little bit higher, so watch that 950 resistance to the low 950s and see if we reject and establish a lower high. That's the most likely possibility. Make sure you watch your levels just to be safe. For the QQQ, let me actually pull up the QQQ first. The triple Q has resistance at 453. We have support currently at 451, then 450. I think that the most likely possibility is this tries to go up to 453 and kind of shuffles in the 453s, then starts dipping a little bit lower and starts sinking towards 450. If we break the high up here, then we could turn bullish and see 455.5. I don't really favor that. I think we're more likely to establish a lower high than reject, but just to be safe, watch for confirmation. And the same thing can be said about Aapl stock. Aapl has support at 189. We have resistance at 190.5. If we lose 189, we could be dipping all the way down to 188. So watch and see which way we break. Otherwise, we're just stuck between 189.25 and 190.5, trading sideways for now. For a few more things, we also have Amazon. Amazon's kind of on a bit of a downtrend right over here, but we have 183 as support. We'll have to see if this breaks or not. If we lose 183, we're going to be dipping even lower down towards our 200 EMA, just under 181. So watch 183. We have resistance at 185. We've been shuffling today during the pre-market, so we'll just see what Amazon does. It is looking a little bit more bearish, though. So it does favor 183 to be retested, maybe tipping a little bit. Meta as well. We have the 50 EMA coming, basically 469. If we bounce off 469, we could be looking for a retest of 475. And if we lose with 469, we'll be dipping all the way down towards 465. So I do think it's going to be testing 469. Watch and see what it does once we test it. For GME, I know a lot of people are into this. We're looking more bearish. We're approaching, the 200 EMA. We have a gap to fill all the way down towards 17.5 and also 20 supports. And also for AMC, we're approaching 4.4 support, not to mention 3.92. We're looking more bearish. So far, nothing has changed on these charts. With that being said, guys, I went over the majority of tickers. Hopefully, this video was insightful and helpful for the people out there. So the market may attempt to rebound, push just a little bit higher. I did call out that we might be testing 528 and maybe establish, see some buyers try to defend around there. That's what's been happening. But the question is, can they try to push us to break the all-time high, or are we going to come a little bit short during this next little pop and then continue to fall? We'll be watching for that. The most likely possibility is kind of pump a little bit, then maybe reject and dump. But just to be safe, something different could develop because of the option chain. There's a lot of manipulation right now with all the puts expiring. So we will see if they cause a big squeeze or not. But I do want to note that the most likely possibility is we establish a lower high and start sinking, looking at the current trend. All right, so we'll see how it goes. Thank you for listening, guys. I'll upload this video as fast as I can, and I'll see you guys very soon in just a couple of hours. Thank you for listening, and peace out.